International Lecture Series 4, year 2024. We are very delighted to have all of you here at this event today that will discuss about community need assessment. Firstly, I would like to welcome the Head of Urban and Regional Planning Department, Professor Dr. Inwandari Handayani S.Pt. MPS, and our honorable guest lecturer, Febi Dwirahmadi, BSc.Ph, MSc.Ph, Ph.D. Our honorable guest lecturer today, Invited Lecturer Febi Dwirahmadi, BSc.Ph, MSc.Ph, Ph.D., a Global Health Lecturer at School of Medicine and Dentistry, Griffith University, Queensland, Australia. And host lecturer, Bapak Associate Professor Insinyur Agung Sugir MPSt, and the moderator, Bapak Associate Professor Samsul Ma'rif S.Pt. Welcome to our beloved lecture from Urban and Regional Planning Department, students and everyone who joining online from Zoom and YouTube channel. Before we jump to the main event, please kindly see the event agenda for today. Okay, the first one is opening remarks from Head of Department Urban and Regional Planning, Professor Dr. Inwandari Handayani S.Pt. MPS. The second one is presentation about evidence-based program planning for urban health by Febi Dwirahmadi BSc.Ph, MSc.Ph, Ph.D. The third one is presentation about equity-based development by Associate Professor Insinyur Agung Sugiri MPSt, and then discussion and conclusion. And the last one is closing with photo session. Now, I would like to welcome opening speech from Head of Urban and Regional Planning Department, Ibu Profesor Dr. Inwandari Handayani S.Pt. MPS. The time is yours.
Ya, thank you. Terima kasih Mbak MC. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, good morning. Our special guest today, Pak Febi from Griffith University, our speakers, Pak Agung, the moderator, Pak Samsul, the organizing committee, Bu Landung and team, and all participants. Even though we have a special guest from Australia, but with the Indonesian taste, apologize that since the title of our agenda today is International Lecture Series, means that we need to deliver and discuss all in English, yeah, Mas Febi. Doesn't mean that we do not love our own language, yeah, but since we will also publish this is recorded session and we will publish in our website, hoping that all the materials can be later on accessed openly to all, not only students in the department, but also all who has concern with the topic. So and also to bring a bit more international exposure within the department, we need to do this in English, yeah, even though we have a very special guest from Indonesia today on the interesting topic about the community need assessment. What I would like to a little bit emphasize in this session, other than again very thankful with the strong support from Bu Landung and team who organized this in the last, I think this is the third year we have this program, and we have invited scholars from different parts in this world to bring different perspective and various themes. I would like also to promote that when we learn urban and regional planning, we also need to open our lens into a more broader sense. We see our discipline as a not only multidisciplinary, but move to a more transdisciplinary approach. So I believe even though Mas Febi comes from a different discipline background, I know that you are a global health experts, but your experience and knowledge are very relevant with us in the department, and I hope can bring new perspective that when we learn urban and regional planning, we need also need to understand different discipline and different aspect and see urban and regional problems and issues in various lenses. So with this, I hope that we will have an interesting presentations and discussions. Sharing also will be very useful, since we also have lectures from our scholars, Pak Agung, and thank you also to Pak Agung and Pak Samsul to support our department program in to make always new teams and hopefully later on new and interesting project topic for our students. With this, I offer back to you, Mbak MC. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Ibu, for the warm welcoming. I hand over this lecture to Bapak Samsul as the moderator. Please welcome Bapak Samsul. The time is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please welcome us all. Good morning, everyone. The fourth international lecture series. How are you? May we always be in good health condition. Dear Mr. Febi Dwirahmadi and Mr. Associate Prof. Agung Sugir, I respect as present and happened this morning. Beforehand, let me introduce I'm Samsul as the moderator who will get the Urban and Regional Scientific Forum International Lecture Series with the theme Community Need Assessment. At the attending this morning and we will discuss with resource person who are course very great and well of experience in the field. Today we will discuss community need assessment, and later the president of our two research person will discuss equity in equity-based development and evidence-based program planning for urban health. Okay, let's go straight to the first session. For the session, Mr. Febi Dwirahmadi, Ph.D. Public Health, MSc Public Health, and Ph.D. is here with us. He is a lecturer at the Global Health Lecture School of Medicine and Dentistry, Griffith University, Queensland, Australia. Many are involved in planning for urban health. Without needing to lunges, the presentation of material from Mr. Febi get you to time and place.
Thank you, Pak Samsul. It is an honor for me to be here. Thank you so much, Prof. Wiwi, Bu Andung, Prof. Agung, and all Undip colleagues for the opportunity. It's a pleasure for me to be here as well, to be part of these important discussions, because urban planning has been one of, I would say, maybe utmost priority at this moment, especially when we talk about not only in the context of Indonesia, because of the urbanization rate, and also because of the fact that environmental aspect is so much influential to our population health. So please allow me to share my screen. Let me just, hopefully it works. Yeah. A second. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
yes. Yeah, okay. All right. So the title that was given to me is the Evidence-Based Program Planning for Urban Health. Of course, I'm not going to talk in regards to the urban regional planning because that is more your expertise. But for me, I think I would like to take this opportunity to talk about how we can collect evidence from the community, because community is I would say the one of the most important fabric of the city, okay, of the one of the most important component within a city. Without population, without people, without its people, it is almost impossible for us to build a city, right? So therefore, it is important for us to understand how we can collect evidence through from our community, especially in us trying to achieve urban health or urban sustainability. So these presentations, I took some of this from my own experiences in doing community net assessments. I was involved in that at that time, back then when I was still in Indonesia, working with the World Bank and also working with the International Red Cross in identifying the need of community in Kamal Muara in North Jakarta, which is almost similar to what we are currently doing with Undip as well, with Koneksi project. So let me know if this doesn't work. Yeah. So I'm not sure whether you have seen this diagram, but this diagram has been around, I think it's almost at the same age of me. So it's since like 1981, 1982. It has been around since that long, right? So I believe you have seen this, and this is actually back in 1983. This is from the Brundtland report, which is about sustainable development. Okay, so sustainable city. The sustainable city has been around since a while, basically. And for those who don't know, so this is actually from the Brundtland report, which was published back in December 1983. So Brundtland was the Prime Minister of Norway at the time. Okay, so and if you look at this one here, we have health in the middle, right? So we have health in the middle, and then we have community, environment, and economy. If we still remember, so this is also similar to what we call by 3 pillars of sustainability, right? So we have economy, we have social, we have environment, right? So if we look at this one here, we have convivial, livable, viable, equitable, sustainable, and also adequately prosperous. Okay, which is actually, if you look at the current situation, you don't have to look at that far. Just look at from our neighborhood in terms of adequately prosperous. Maybe this is not, I mean, this is not happening yet, right? So although this has been around for a while, but this is still a gap. There is still a lot of gap here. Not to mention as well about livable, not to mention about convivial, community that have a strong social capital, right? So this concept has been adopted into Healthy City Project. So Healthy City Project has been around since a while as well, since the year of 2000s, the year of 2005, the year of 2007. However, it's no longer how to say, it's no longer active to be discussed among stakeholders, among decision-making people, and etc. This, however, from public health perspective, we are trying to then use this classic approach into a resilient city concept. Because if you look at this one here, it is actually pretty much fit in with what we call by a city that is resilient, right? Community that is healthy, the environmental, of that environment is of that city is also healthy and the economy is prosperous. Okay, what else you would like to ask? Okay, for the city to be resilient against disaster, against pandemic. So this concept is still very useful for us to use. So therefore, it is very important for us to understand the community aspect of it. Okay, I'm not going to discuss in the context of economy. I'm not going to discuss in the context of the environment, but in this presentation, I'm going to talk in regards to the community concept. So this is one of the workshops that I attended during pandemic. So this was I think back in 2020, I think. This workshop was hosted by UNDRR, United Nations of Disaster Risk Reductions. If you look at here on the left-hand side, which we call chronic stresses. So chronic stresses, we can call this as pre-existing health conditions, or in public health, we call it comorbidities, right? So if you look at this one here, chronic stresses is actually the problem that our city is currently facing. Okay, we don't have to wait until acute events happening. We don't have to wait until disaster happen, like floods, another pandemic hit us, and etc. What we really need to understand is the chronic stresses that is currently happening. Okay, we have environmental problem, economic economic, stresses, social conflicts, cultural, inequality, and etc. So all these are chronic stresses that is really important, because whenever there is acute events happen, they will interact with chronic stresses. So through community need assessment, we will be able to understand these chronic stresses. Okay, so these chronic stresses will be the most important homework, if I can use that word. And my son doesn't like to do his homework. Homework. This is the most important homework that we really need to complete. Okay, we really need to address without having to wait for acute events to happen. So, and before I move forward to the concept of need assessment itself, it is very important for us to understand, which I believe all of you here also aware about this as well. The risks is systemic and crises are cascading. Okay, so understanding risks, understanding health risks or disaster risks is more than just understanding the hazard. Is more than from public health perspective, is not only understanding the pathogen, is not only understanding the bacteria, the virus, the source of the illness, but we also need to understand what factors that make people vulnerable, what factors that make people are more exposed to that particular pathogen, okay, more exposed to that particular source of disease. Okay, so therefore it is very important for us to understand the exposure, the vulnerability, what type of hazard that our community is currently facing, and etc. So then we can have a very broad picture in terms of trying to connect all those dots and making it into a beautiful picture for us to understand how is our city is standing up, or how is our city is going to be able to cope with the any stresses, any disaster or a pathogen or pandemic. Okay, so it is very important, and through this community and assessment, we will be able to understand what factors that make people are vulnerable. Yeah, and in terms of just by itself, vulnerability can be one, like one lecture it's by itself, right? So vulnerability can be from social political, vulnerability can be from the engineering perspective, or environmental, or physical, or structural perspective, right? So vulnerability can be in the context of physical, like human perspective, and etc. So there are quite a number of factors that could make people are vulnerable or more susceptible to be impacted by disaster or by health risks. So to create urban health or urban that is healthy, right? So when we say, because, and they're actually quite, they go hand in hand. So it's like one coin with two sides, you know, so like one coin, but it has two sides. So the city that is healthy, that city must be resilient. Okay, the same thing as well. If that city is resilient, so that city must be healthy. So when we say healthy or when we say resilient, because it has to be supported by system, right? So I think in this context, Prof. Wiwi, Bu Landung, Pak Agung are more expert in this regard because this is in relation to urban planning, etc. So city is made up of different systems, some system of systems, right? And in this context, health play a very crucial role. Okay, so if the health sector of the health system is not working properly, and it is almost impossible for the city to be able to you know to recover, you know, especially in regards to disaster. So health, especially population health, is very important because when people are healthy, they are more able to fight back if there is any disaster or to recover from the stress that they are facing. So the overall process in the context of health program planning, so it is a very thorough or very systematic process. So in the context of, it could be something like in the context of policy making processes, a very long process. This, however, it is very much depending on the context, right? So, because if you really want to do a comprehensive need assessment or a community need assessment, which will take 1 year or half year, but if you really have to make decision like as soon as possible, then there are a few things that need to be speed up, or a few things need to be, I would say maybe need to be need to be accelerated, because otherwise it is almost impossible for us to make decision in timely manner, right? So again, it's very much depending on what is the issue. Like for instance, when you talk about COVID-19, whether we need to wear masks or not. So we don't do community and assessment. So it is an instructions from the government to the community. You need to wear masks. There is no discussion. There is no but. There is no what if and etc. Okay, you need to wear masks. So there are a few things in the context of health emergency. For instance, community and assessment need to be compromised in regards in the context of how we actually would like to make it, how comprehensive we would like to, perform our need assessment. Of course, need assessment is still very important because we need to understand the need of the community. Without understanding the need of our own community, it is almost impossible for a government or for a policymaker to develop an effective policy intervention. So if you look at this one here, I'm not going to discuss this in detail because this is one trimester by itself. It's like 12 weeks face-to-face class. So what we are going to talk in this very short class is actually just this part, the need assessment part, and we'll be talking about how we what are the element of need assessment. We'll be talking about different type of needs, right? Comparative needs, normative needs, felt needs, expressed needs. So this actually then will help us to identify the issues, the problems, analyze the determinants. I'm not going to discuss this in detail, as I mentioned earlier. This, however, will be using Ottawa Charter. I'm not sure whether you are aware of Ottawa Charter, but Ottawa Charter in public health is like although we cannot say this, but they mention this as the holy book of health promotions. Okay, the holy book means it's a golden principle of health promotions. Okay, so which is Ottawa Charter, which was launched back in 1986. Okay, so and etc. So I'm not going to read this in detail. Right? So these are the whole process of health program planning, which later on after evaluation, we probably have to go back again to the need assessment and try to see what is actually what went wrong, what went wrong, what went well, etc., which will then need to be because it is a cyclical process. Okay, so CNA in the context of health planning, or we can also try to twist it into like urban health planning, is a concrete strategy to promote meaningful community participation. So need assessment, CNA, is not only about getting information from the community. So that is very important. It is not only about getting data from the community, but it is also to promote community participations, and it has to be meaningful. Okay, so they have to feel that they are actually part of the process. They are part of the program. Because health is created and lived by people within the setting of their everyday life. So health is not hospital, health is not puskesmas, health is not jam sostek or BPJS, right? So health is wherever you go, wherever you work, you go to campus, you go to a shopping center, you go to market, you go to play, like a park. So that is health. Okay, because according to socio-ecological health, we are influenced by many things, right? So we are influenced by our age, by our sex, by our genetic factors, of course. Right? Okay, we are also influenced by what food when we grew up, right? So what food that did our parents put on the table? Okay, access to nutrition is very much influential for us when we grew up, when we were little, and etc. Socioeconomic networks socio-community network is very important, educations and etc. So all these are very interconnected. So it's very complex. All right. So and human is, I think, is the most complex creature, right? So when you talk about virus, when you talk about mosquito, we understand the habit, the attitude of mosquito, for instance. Then we can say, okay, let's build Wolbachia mosquito, okay, which is currently it's very popular in Indonesia at the moment. But human being is very complex, right? So therefore, it is very, very, very important for us to understand, like these two boys, they're collecting water through this drainage. We don't know what they're doing, right? Without us asking them, hey, what are you guys doing? Are you going to collect that water, and are you going to drink that water because that water is polluted, and etc. But we are looking at from our own glasses, not from their own eyes, not from their own perspective, right? So sometimes it is very easy for us to judge as expert, as docent, as mahasiswa, right? So we judge people. Oh, those kids, they're playing in a mud without shoes and etc. So we like to judge people. And that is the nature of human being. We like to judge people. Okay. So of course, from expert perspective, or that water potentially contaminated by a pathogen, if you drink that, if you don't boil the water, you can get diarrhea and etc. And that could be very harmful and could be fatal and etc. But we're looking at again from our own perspective. So it is very important for us, the CNA fits with the fundamental purpose of health promotions. And for those who don't know the definition of health promotion, because when it's Indonesia is what is penyuluhan kesehatan. So maybe that is the wording that people are using in Indonesia, but oftenly they only see that as education. Oftenly penyuluhan kesehatan or health promotion is often defined as giving lecture to people, which is actually wrong, because health promotion is about to enable people to increase control, offer and improve their health own determinants. So you can imagine, so it's about to enabling people so then they can increase control, offer and improve their own health determinants. So this could be education, this could be social networks, this could be access to resources, this could be access to nutrition, etc. So we need to make them enable. We have to make them able to access those basic necessities. I don't have time to explain all these fundamental principles, but this is very important. So then we can understand that CNA is not only about collecting information from the community. So community participation is very important, which I don't think I need to read this in detail, which is about to have share with, to take part in, and to have something of, right? So we need to in Indonesia, we have the language partisipasi masyarakat, right? So, and I think that is quite, it's easy for us to understand. If we want to really if we want the community to participate in the program, so we really have to make sure that they are actually part of the program since beginning. In Indonesia, we have a program called Jumantik, right? So Juru Pemantau Jentik, which I think it's been around since a while, which I think oftenly it's not really working properly because they in some places, I'm not saying in Semarang, but in some places it's very much depending on the budget. If there is no budget from the government, and Jumantik will not go and do the job, which is actually not voluntary anymore. So they're aiming for the main motivation is about money, receiving money, which is actually in the context of providing incentive and etc., which is fine. However, the question will be, have we done actually a very comprehensive community participation or not? So this is actually the Ottawa Charter of Health Promotion. So it has 5 elements of it. So first one is to building healthy public policy, to create supportive environment. We have also develop personal skills, strengthen community actions, and last but not least is to reorient health services, which is but I'm not going to talk that in detail, but this is basically 5 different elements, which is important, which is the policy aspect, the environmental aspect, the social aspect, the individual aspect, and the service aspect. So to follow up need assessment, we need to have those 5 different elements of program. Okay, so I'll just skip this, of course, unless you are a fortune teller. I think, of course, we cannot trust fortune teller. They cannot read our mind, right? But it is very important for us to avoid common mistake by health professionals. Like for instance, a lot of people, they have community back pain, and then we always say, oh, we need physiotherapists. A lot of people become obese, and oh, we need to establish sports center and etc. So this is actually with tendency to define needs in terms of their own solutions. Okay, this is the common problem, and therefore it is very important for us to understand what is the need of the community, and the need is basically what is the difference between need and wants and etc. Right, and we need to define the needs in the context of health. A need is defined as a state, situation, or condition in the community which by its presence or absence reduce limits and prevents normative functions. And this is very important, and you need to understand this carefully, okay? If you look at this one here, it says, a situation or conditions in the community which by its presence, okay? Just looking at the WhatsApp, a presence or absence reduce or limits. You can see, let's say we have access, we have us PM 2.5. Okay, so that means there is a need for us to reduce air pollution. So by its presence, okay, we have CO, carbon monoxide, so which is actually from the emission, etc. Or absence. So absence could be access to sustainable transportations, access to health service, okay, a safe physical environment, and etc. Without, or maybe it could be also risk factors like smoking. So with the presence of smoking, like the smoke, it could reduce our normative functions, right? So or alcohol and drugs. Maybe alcohol is not really relevant to our country. This, however, it's still there, right? So, or disease state and etc. So this is very important to understand what is actually the need. So need doesn't have to be something that is not exist, okay? Because sometimes, like, because we have diabetes, so that is what is present in our body, right? So we need to do exercise and etc. So we need, of course, it is about collecting informations that will give indications and etc. So this is more about laying essential foundation for planning healthy community. This, however, it is also important to understand the strengths, the opportunity, readiness of the community, and etc. So the purpose, and this is actually very important as well. I'm not going to read this in detail. Let me just open everything so then you can have a look at them. To understand the nature and characteristic of the community, how community structures, right? Who are the leader of the community, how they organize, the activities in, because community, they have their informal leader, they have their formal leader, right? So who is anybody responsible if there's any like, for instance, if there's any emergency. So we need to understand whether the community has this kind of structure established already. So were there any gap in services? What changes are necessary to improve health or quality of life? So this was when I did my data collection. This was not from Connexi. This is back from my project that was back in 2009 in Kamal Muara in North Jakarta. So, and this is the lady, it's a green shell, right? So it's like mussel, right? Kerang hijau, right? So they actually, and they use the what is it? The shell as a, to form a land, to form a new land. So Indonesian people is very creative. So without having soil, they can actually use waste. They dump waste and they dump the shell of the mussel to be a land. So then they can build something on top of it, which is actually very prone to disaster, of course. So to provide baseline data to identify issue, problem, the scope and priority of the issues, determinants, and etc. How long have I been spoken about? I'll try. Okay, I'll try. Because I said to Bu Landung, I have something to do some to this. So basically, need assessment is not just about wants, or not just about what is our solutions and etc. So we need to understand the gap, the ideal, the gap, and the actuals. And the gap, the ideal situation, we can get it from literature review and etc. So all these are something that can be done through research. I just want to give you an example of a customer need a swing in his backyard. So if you look at this one here, people trying to do their best to do swing, okay? What company wants, of course, like if you look at this one here, how can kids sit on this 3 layers of wood, right? So it's not going to happen. So what its specialists want, what system analysis want, and etc. What customer wishes with a very nice solver and etc. What documents record, so which means there is no documentations at all. What end product to customer, there is nothing, so it's not as they expect. What customer pays, they have to pay a lot of money. Ongoing support, there is no ongoing support, but what customer really needs is actually just a very simple old tire and a road. That's it, right? So we need to really understand, sometimes it doesn't have to be, the solution doesn't have to be complicated, the solution doesn't have to be costly. The solution could be something that is already exists at the community. Is how we just need to really emphasize on that. So dimension of need. So just quickly, don't have time. 4 dimensions. So this is according to Bradshaw 1972. So we as human beings, so we are actually influenced by 4 different type of needs. Okay, we have expert needs, comparative needs, felt needs, and express needs. Okay, so I'm going to quickly, hopefully we have enough time to give you a quick definition of these 4. So normative needs is defined by experts. So it could be us, like Prof. Wiwi said, according to our research, a healthy urban is urban that has 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is what we call by normative needs. Like according to health research, every day we need this amount of water, okay, and etc. So that is what we call by normative needs. Comparative needs is derived from comparison. Okay, so we compare between one village to another village. Oh, that village has one posyandu. This village doesn't have posyandu. Why is that? So we have to, this is what we call by comparing between, it has to be apple to apple. So this city, like okay, in Semarang, and then you can compare with something else like another city, and then you can see what are the gap there. Express need is a need that can be observed or expressed. Okay, it could be something that is done, like for instance, in 1 year, we have 100 people, 100 employee apply for sick leave. So that is express need. Why we have a lot of employee apply for sick leave? All right, so that is express needs because they apply for sick leave. And the last but not least, the felt needs. So the felt needs is the need that is that is defined by the community members. Okay, so let me just jump into this one. The stages of need assessment. All right, so there are 3 stages. So this is, again, this is now becoming a methodological process, right? So there are 3 different stages in terms of need assessment. The first one is framing of need assessment process. So we need to clarify the directions, the context of the CNA, determine CNA parameters, what is our issue, where is our setting, and who is our populations. Okay, so there are 3 parameters. What is our issue? Is it air pollution? Is it water pollution? Is it in the context of public health? Is it like lack of physical activities, right? Or access to energy drinks or sugary, sugar sweetened beverages or sugar, because that is a problem, right? Setting, where is the setting? Is it going to be a village? Is it going to be a city? Is it going to be a campus? Because setting could be also like a hospital, schools, and who is our population? So yeah, so these are the what we call by the CNA parameters. And after that, of course, we need to develop the the next step, which is to decide the CNA process, because next time when we have chance to meet again, so I'm going to discuss collect how we collect data, and this is actually like a research, and this is actually a research process. And by saying it is a research, we need to have research questions, right? We need to have what is the aim, what is the objective, and etc. So we need to have that in our documents. And also the last one is to analyze the needs and determine priorities based on the findings. So these are 3 basic components of community assessment. We have to first start with stakeholder analysis. So we need to understand who are our stakeholders, who will be, the stakeholders that will be that is related to our issue. And then we have community profile, internal analysis, and community consultation. And again, this is also the stage of data collection. So I'm going to go to the first one. So I'm just going to click this one very quickly, because basically we need to understand benchmark, to discover the gaps. And this is what we call by a helicopter view, okay? Or in the context of research, this is what we call by desktop study. So community profile is a desktop study. So we conduct research through secondary data. And again, it is very much depending on what data that is available, of course. But we need demography, we need socioeconomic status, we need health status, we need health and related service utilizations. We also need the environmental conditions. So basically who, what characteristics, what infrastructure and service. So just to give you some idea of how we're gonna develop our community profile, so it could be grouped into 4 elements. So the people, the place, community organizations, and the existing service. So those are data that need to be collected for us to be able to understand. So let's say we want to go to a certain village. So we need to collect all this data as much as possible, because again, it is very much depending on whether the data is available or not, right? But it is very much important for us before we go face to face with the community, so we can understand the leadership mechanisms, who are actually the most important leaders, the community image, the morale. So even when we choose our dress, okay, they don't like people with wearing batik. Okay, you don't go there with batik. They don't like people wearing suit. Okay, you don't go there by wearing suit. So it is sort of like understanding what communication platform that we can use before we go to the community. So the next step is community internal analysis. So it's like a bottom-up triangle. So the top one is community profile. So it's a very wide information that we're trying to collect. And then this one is getting more focus, right? Getting more focus where we do, this is one of the most common ones, SWOT analysis framework. And these are the questions that we need to answer. And because this is combination between desktop review and also primary data collection. So we start collecting like data like survey, questionnaire. We ask people, it could be like interview, group discussions. Basically, we try to understand what are the strengths, the weakness, opportunity, and also the threats. Like what could limit the success of urban health promotions, right? So those are things that we need to understand. And last but not least, the community consultation. So community consultation is a very in-depth discussion about, so we have done community profile, hopefully you still remember it. The next one is internal analysis. And then we go to the next step, which is a very in-depth discussion, which is community consultation. So this is mainly purely qualitative informations. So we conduct interview, group discussions. It could be also something like a survey as well, depending on how is our community. Like for instance, Brisbane City Council, so they do community consultations through website. But again, as I said, depending on access to internet, depending on internet skills and etc. But in the context of Brisbane City Council, so they do website and they do also walk-in workshop. So this is what you call by walk-in workshop. So sometimes we have like a festival, community festival in Brisbane City Council. They set up like a booth like this, and they want to get some opinion from the community. What do you say if we build Brisbane River catchment? So it is like a study, and normally it is working together with universities. So last time we also worked with Griffith University. We worked with Logan City Council, but that was in relation to food access during disaster. So it's different. I don't have the picture. So it could be also like a very traditional way of asking people questions, right? So this is like in Indonesia, sometimes it is not like a tradition like this. So when we did Koneksi project, it was in a room, or everybody have a chair or have a table and etc. So basically, we ask opinion from the community. Just quickly, I think my time is already passed, but just quickly. So this is how we try to combine. So we have community profile plus community internal analysis. So that is community analysis plus community consultation. So that equal to community assessment. So this is like overlaying information between the desktop study that we've done and then internal analysis, the SWOT analysis, right? And then we try to analyze the result of those two things. And then so we got community analysis, and then community analysis that will inform us when we design our interview for our community consultations, so that we can get a very comprehensive need assessment process. So I'll just give you an idea of So it could be, when I say workplace, it could be also a community profile. So component one is people, place, organization, and service. So that will be our first component, right? So community profile. And then the second component will be our community analysis. So community profile plus internal analysis. So in our presentation, we talk about SWOT analysis, but we also actually have stakeholder analysis, gap analysis, network analysis. So those are different type of tools that we can actually use for internal analysis. And then from here, we have community analysis plus views of the member of the community. And that will be a very comprehensive framework of community assessment. So in a nutshell, so we have this as a matrix, right? Like a research matrix. So we have the first component, the input, and remember the four different type of needs. So we have felt needs, which is defined by individual, expressed needs defined by secondary data, normative needs defined by expert, comparative needs defined by comparison. Okay, so those are information, and we can have a very comprehensive pictures, and this is like a triangulation process as well. And that will help us to understand the socio-ecological model of our community, because preparing a community for change is an investment in people. So therefore, it is very much important for us to understand the relationship of all this. I think I have exceeded the limit. Sorry, I'm sorry, Pak Samsul. But thank you so much for your attention. So if there is anybody who would like to ask anything, happy to answer. Or maybe Bu Landung can help me answer the questions for Prof. Agung. Thank you. Samsul, I'll return the microphone back to you. Thank you. You're still muted, Samsul.
Okay, thank you, Pak Febi. It's very interesting session. Next, the presentation continued with the second session. Politician, Mr. Associate Prof. Agung Sugiri is mostly involved in learning, research, and community service related to environmental science, especially sustainable development planning, social system, and environmental assessment modeling. Agung Sugiri is the former head of the Regional and Urban Planning Undergraduate Studies Program, Faculty of Engineering, Diponegoro Universities for 2016-2021. Now, Mr. Agung Sugiri is include the expertise group of LARADEM, Regional Development and Environmental Management Laboratory, Department of Regional and City Planning. Next, let's just listen to the presentation of material from Mr. Agung Sugiri.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Samsul. We started with very nice presentation of Febi. Thank you very much, Pak. And for my turn here, I'm lucky enough to get help from my assistant, Dr. John A. Intelligence, to present my material. Is about equity. Yeah. I have a long journey to understand equity. Why? Because I've been developing a model called equity-based development. So it is equity meant by this model. So perhaps I think many of us have different versions of equity, justice, and fairness, but this is my version. So it's kind of philosophical thought. And I use a methodology of an unknown or less known school of philosophy. This is called the school of dispossessionism. Okay, so I will let my assistant present for me. It's already there in video. Wait a minute. Share, where is share? Okay, let's start it.
Equity, according to equity-based development, a philosophical thought. By Agung Sugir. The figure on this first slide shows the model of equity-based development or EBD developed by Sugir, 2009. We will not discuss it now, but next time. The next slide is a short list of studies in certain aspects of development applying EBD as the main theoretical framework. It's just to show you some research publications on EBD. Today's discussion will be about what equity is, according to the concept of EBD. We will discuss it in the form of frequently asked questions on the existence and equity in 5 sections. Section A. 2 types of existence, material and immaterial. 1. Why is something that our 5 senses cannot detect, which means eyes can't see, noses can't smell, ears can't hear, tongues can't taste, and skins cannot touch, still called an existence? It is a question about the definition of immaterial existence, which in many cases people think is non-existent. What I mean by our 5 senses should include their enhancement ability through the help of the related tools, for example the binoculars, microscope, and multitester. Therefore, the answer is because it influences our life in one natural way or another, so it does exist. 2. Can I imagine what an immaterial or non-material existence looks like? No, you cannot, and you do not need to. 3. Would you elaborate it? With an example, please. An example is knowledge. Let's discuss a piece of it. The law of Pythagoras, c squared equals a squared plus b squared, where c is the longest side of a right-angled triangle, which is also known as the hypotenuse, and a and b represent the other 2 sides of it. This law applies in any right-angled triangle, in any place and any time. Even, this law was there before Mr. Pythagoras was born. So, the Pythagoras formula is not bounded by space nor by time. It cannot be seen, can't be touched, can't be smelt, can't be tasted, and can't be heard. In other words, it can't be detected by our 5 senses and their enhancement tools, and yet it exists. It is an example of immaterial existence. 4. Is energy material? Why? Yes, it is. Because it can be detected by our senses. Section B. Interactions between material and immaterial existences. 5. How do matters interact with immaterial existences? They do it in various ways based on 4 main principles. 5.1, inside-outside. 5.2, interdependence. 5.3, intelligent, non-intelligent. 5.4 Superior, Inferior. 5.1 The immaterial existence is inside the matter without intermingling, while at the same time it is outside the matter without separation. Imam Ali bin Abi Talib. Remember the example of Pythagoras' formula and everyone who acquires it, including you. Also, between the body and the soul or spirit in every human being. 5.2 Among those who have highlighted the interdependence among existences is Einstein, 1935. Please consider a simple purpose, that is, to make a cup of tea. Contemplate how we cannot do it alone. We need help from many other existences to accomplish it. If I am to make a cup of tea, I will thank all those who have prepared the clean water, the cup, the tea bag, or a spoon of tea, the stove, and the kettle, to make hot water available for me. 5.3 Both types of existence can be intelligent and non-intelligent. Examples of non-intelligent material existences include rocks, mining products, industrial products, trees, and fruits. Intelligent material existences include animals, human beings, jinn beings, and angels. Non-intelligent immaterial existences include, for example, knowledge, law of nature, law of gravity, ideas, and concepts. Finally, examples of intelligent immaterial existences are the spirit or the soul, and the ultimate existence. 5.4 The immaterial existence is superior to the material existence, simply because it doesn't need space and time to exist, and the intelligent existence is superior to the non-intelligent one. Remember the example of Pythagoras' formula discussed previously. Section C. The ultimate one. 6. What was there before the existence of the universe? To answer it, we need to know whether the universe is material or immaterial. We already know that energy was there in the universe before the Big Bang. Meanwhile, the frequently asked question number 4 tells us that energy is a material existence. Nowadays, we have empirical evidence that this universe contains matters and energy, which are all material. Conclusively, the universe is material, c.e.g., Einstein 1935, and it is most probably the first material existence before energy and the other matters came to exist. So, what was there before the first matter, which means before the existence of space and time? It must be immaterial existence, the only type of existence that needs no space and no time to exist. 7. Following up the frequently asked question number 6, what exactly is this immaterial existence? Having realized the principles of interdependence and superiority, it must be an intelligent immaterial existence, which the seemingly endless chains of interdependence among existences stop at. So, it is the ultimate existence, which depends on none, and to which others, material and immaterial alike, depend on it. We call it by many names like God, Lord, Allah, YHWH, etc. Section D. The irony of the existing science. Our science will only be complete when we integrate all types of existence into its concerns and consideration. So far, science addresses matters and energy only, which are both materials, with practically no consideration on immaterial existence. It is an irony because science itself is an immaterial existence. Besides, immaterial existence is superior to the material one. Section E. On equity. 8. So, what is equity according to Sugiri's thought? 8.1. After understanding the philosophy of the existence above, let's discuss about the universe from material as well as immaterial sides and their relationships. 8.2. We have both material and immaterial existences and their interactions in the universe. From the material point of view, we have pieces of empirical evidence that a set of physical laws works to assure that all elements of the universe interact with each other in balance. Remember, Stephen Hawking, 2002, acquired the theory of everything about those laws through his and his predecessors' research studies. 8.3. Considering both the material and immaterial viewpoints, we've come to realize that the complete set of laws is immaterial existence, and that interdependence is there in the relationships among all kinds of existence. It leads us to conclude that the universe is a system. 8.4. In a system, every element has its role that is unique when we consider the details. Remember a complex example of the huge system of the universe with billion subsystems including galaxies, solar systems, Earth systems plus other planet systems, which can be considered subsystems of it. 8.5. Interactions among elements are in balance, directed and driven by a set of laws, towards the achievement of certain purposes. 8.6. When a law is broken, the balance will be disrupted, which can jeopardize the achievement of the system's goals. 8.7. When all elements work properly as expected from the assigned role of each of them as directed by the set of laws, it means that the process of interactions in the system is fair and the distribution of outcomes to all elements is just. This is called the system is in its equitable situation. So, equity is fairness in the process, and justice in the distribution. Remember John Rawls, 1971. However, what is fairness in process and justice in distribution, especially regarding urban and regional development? We will discuss it next time, inshallah. 9. About breaking the law and disrupting the balance. Which elements have the ability to do it and how? 9.1. Equity means sustainability. When every element is in balance interactions between one and another, the universe is working equitably, which means in sustainable trajectory towards the achievement of its purposes. 9.2. The situation also means that every element works on fulfilling its unique, assigned, role so properly that no law is broken. 9.3. Remember, many elements simply can't break the law. These are the non-intelligent, material as well as immaterial, existences. Also, among the intelligent existences, only those who exceed certain level of intelligence can do it. The animal, for example, does not have the ability to break the law of nature. Pieces of empirical evidence show us only the human, and, perhaps, the jinn, to a much lesser extent, can do it. We have realized that human activities have contributed very significantly in emitting excessive greenhouse gases and degrading the assimilative capacity of our tropical rainforests, which have caused climate change. 9.4. The elements can do it by working on roles other than what genuinely assigned to them. For example, among the roles of human beings is to increase economic productivity while at the same time maintaining the sustainability of the environment. However, they have forgotten the environmental sustainability part of this role. As proven by many studies, it has disrupted the balance of the Earth as a subsystem of the universe to the extent of global climate change. 9.5. Last but not least, to conclude. Every one of us is physical as well as immaterial existence at once. Remember that the immaterial existence of us is superior to the material one. So it is essential for us to keep being fair, just, and equitable in whatever we do, because otherwise the consequences can negatively impact on the balance or the equitable situation of our neighborhood, or our city, or our earth, or even much worse, our universe. Ultimate existence knows best. Thank you.
Thank you, John. That was a presentation by John A. Intelligence. I just like to make some highlights. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this one. I would like to highlight about the four principles that material and immaterial existences interact with each other. So the first one is inside and outside. I'd like to have the example of Pythagoras formula that to show that this is the I think the shortest statement, but right to the can explain the basic the meaning, true meaning of this one. I know Pythagoras formula, and since I think my junior high school, yeah, S.Pt. Also, I'm sure Pak Samsul also knows about it and can apply Pythagoras formula in any mathematical problems related to it. So Pythagoras formula is an immaterial existence. It is inside me, but it is also at the same time inside Pak Samsul. So that's why Imam Ali stated this expression: inside without intermingling and outside without separation. So Pythagoras formula is inside me, but at the same time outside me, because it is inside Pak Samsul, inside Pak Febi, inside every one of our viewers here. I think I'm sure they know and they can apply Pythagoras formula. So the outside thing is without separation, but the inside thing without intermingling. So that's the very important principles of the interaction between material and immaterial existence. Another principle I would like to highlight is, I think, interdependence, for example. I use the example from Einstein because I'm impressed with some philosophical discussions on his book, The World as I See It. And these principles he used to not in my expression, of course. I use an example of make a cup of tea. Remember that we cannot make a cup of tea by, I cannot make a cup of tea by myself after contemplating, of course. If you ask me, can you do it by yourself? Yes, I can. But after contemplating a little bit, then I realized that I've got help from many other existences to be able to make a cup of tea. to prepare the clean water, the drinking water, to prepare the tea itself, and to prepare the tool to make the water hot enough to have the tea blended on it and nicely, yeah. So if we contemplate a bit further, we realize that this help is not only from material existences, but also from immaterial existence as well. So this is what in Islam we call it the principle of tawassul or wasilah. Yeah, I think just to highlight these two principles. The other principles is just common sense. So when in material existence we have intelligent existence and non-intelligent, so this apply to immaterial existence as well, because what we experience here in our life, what we do for researchers like Pak Febi, Pak Samsul, they do research and they investigate using empirical evidence, empirical data. So when we learn from our material world, that's it. In other side, in immaterial world, they have the kind of comparable aspects. So if we have intelligent existence in material world, there are also intelligent existence in immaterial existences. Okay, this is my presentation, Pak Samsul. Thank you very much.
Okay, Agung, thank you for the material presentation by Mr. Agung Sugir, and Pak Febi, from micro to macro perspective. Really very interesting. I open up to a question and answer session. If there are any information that unclear, the participant can ask question in the chat column, or we also offering question to 3 participants. First, you can raise your hand and select the person after the appointment. Don't forget to turn on the camera or microphone. Oh, Pak Agung, would you please give us more example from your several research experience, how to understand equity and in the term of identifying issues in urban planning process? Kemudian,
Okay.
Maybe I enjoyed your presentation. It was and Pak Febi, Pak Agung, would you please give us example for your several research experience or understand equity in the term of identify issues in the urban and planning? And Pak Febi, how to integrate urban health and community participation? Ms. Landung, Bu Landung, focus more on gender. Do you think it's compulsory to understand gender characteristic among community of inclusivity and participation? Please, Pak Agung or Pak Febi.
Perhaps Pak Febi first.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I think the question is very important dari Ibu Landung. It is about the importance of understanding GETSI or gender characteristics in social research, and I think that is very important, Bu Landung, especially in the context of distribution of roles between different gender in a family. So that is very important to understand how or how we should approach our community. So that is because gender is pretty much also influenced by culture, pretty much influenced by the norm where we do the research. So it is very much, I think, in the context of our need assessment that I presented, I think that is more in the context of desktop review. So desktop review, you need to understand what are the existing information that we can get in terms of gender. This, however, I believe because gender is so much abstract sometimes, so it is very much important for us to also dig more information when we come to the internal analysis, because gender can be one factor that could facilitate the solution, but gender could be also one factor that might hinder the process for us to develop the solution as well. So therefore, it is very much important for us to understand what are those factors related to gender that might help us to develop the solutions, and what factors from gender related to gender that might hinder us from achieving the aim of the project. So this is something that we really have to define in our internal analysis and later on in our community views as well. Yeah. But yes, so very important that one.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't agree more on it.
Yeah.
Mas Febi.
Thank you. And I think yesterday we had a discussion. So we have people from Connexi as well here in Brisbane attending short course at Griffith University, and we discuss about that as well, because I think gender, I mean, in the context of GETSI, so it's a bit a broader context as well. We have social inclusion, we have disability as well. So this is actually not new for Indonesian context, right? So it has been a while for what it even like for those who are Muslims. I think we already understand gender since little, because it's part of our religion as well. So this, however, it is very much important for us to make it into something that is because research has to need to have definition operational, right? So that sometimes that's quite tricky as well. So we need to understand definition operation of gender focused research, which sometimes different country might have different like metrics, different framework. So this has to be really tailor made like according to the culture. So yeah. Thank you, Ibu.
Okay, Pak Febi.
Yes,
From Ainun, Wuhan University, China. I have a question for Febi. Health is complex with socio-economic, cultural, and environmental also matters. We see that mental health issues become crucial in our modern life. Also have seen many news about bunuh diri, depression, and anxiety. How we build our city in Indonesia that can help more resilient, not only physically but also mentality.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a very good question, I would say. And it is very much important for us to understand health is not is a complete physical, mental health, and social well-being, right? So you have physical, so it's not only like, oh, I got headache, not only, oh, I got stomach ache and etc. But it has to be a complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Okay, so and also important to understand that health is also about uh, performance as well. So if you can imagine, like, if that person is like, it looks like healthy person, doesn't have any fever, doesn't have any coughing and etc., but he or she cannot work, he or she cannot obtain educations, cannot perform in their community. So something is not right there. Okay, so yes, so health has to be seen as complete picture. So it's not only physical health, but also mental health as well. So the city that, so when you say that mental health, of course, um, we need to have also the promotion, some promotion of health and well-being. So not only in the context of service, if people have any mental health problems, then they have service. Not only that, but also promotions, how we can promote wellness as well. So that is very important. Like, is it better for us to invest in building more hospital or building parks for kids to play, so kids can play, right, without having to pay, right? So this is how I think in Brisbane, I think in Semarang, hopefully we also have that kind of mindset as well. So not only we invest money on building hospital, but we build facility for kids to play. Okay, for our family, we can go, oh, let's go picnic. We don't have to spend a lot of money. We can bring our own food, we can enjoy our environment, so we can relax and etc. Right? So sometimes, like in Indonesia, relaxing means spending money. You have to go to shopping center and etc. So this is something that I think in terms of urban planning, we need to rethink about how we're gonna build our city. Is it city that has more hospital or city that has more park for kids to play? So maybe I would like to stop there, and because otherwise it's going to be a long answer. But thank you so much for a good question, good answer. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay, thank you. Maybe I wanna give some kind of feedback related to this issue, because like I have been in China like for more than 7 years, and I saw like the suicide issue really, really like the government really pay attention to this kind of issue. But I really agree that what Pak Febi said, that we should build more park or urban park to make like people more accessible to the facilities, to the infrastructure that can help them to build more strength in terms of mental health and mental well-being. So I think like it's really good things to say. Like, thank you very much for the answer, and thank you for the insightful presentation. Yeah.
Thank you, Mbak Ainun. All the best in Wuhan.
Thank you.
Maybe is more vision. Could you please give us an example? How can you draw a conclusion on week one, the presentation of okay. Health is complex with socioeconomic. Maybe you can answer this question from Lala.
Okay. Do you devote to health awareness? And so basically by having discussions, so the first thing that we do with our community, because we don't tell them what to do, right? So the first thing that we need to do is actually having communication with them. So having communication doesn't have to be, it could be sometimes like informal. Informal discussion is even more important, like having coffee with them together, in a coffee shop, like in warung or something like that. But sometimes, having discussion, like formal discussion in a meeting room, sometimes they don't actually tell us the true story of their village or their community. It is even more important for us to have like informal discussion with our community, so that we can have quality informations. Therefore, building trust is even more important. So in our desktop study, or before we approach the community, it is very important for us to build trust. So building trust will not be able to happen like overnight. So it has to take some time. So unless you are coming from that region, unless you are coming from that village, so you know the community very well. But if you are completely stranger, it will take some time for you to build trust. If you have built trust with the community, and they will be able to then tell, yeah, because I really agree what Prof. Agung mentioned as well about, because sometimes maybe the quality information is something that we cannot hear. Quality information is something that we cannot see, right? So the voice of the voiceless, yeah. So how we can dig information, how we can get the voice of the voiceless. So that's the art of qualitative research, basically, for us to be able to understand the community really well, so then we can collect information from the most vulnerable people within that village. So that's do you develop strategies to help them aware? Yeah, through communications, they will start to aware. So we have the stage of change theory, behavioral change theory. So at least from pre-contemplation, they contemplate, and after they contemplate, hopefully they can make actions. What are the tips newbie facilitators to save first grades for the good? Okay, what are the tips for the newbie? The tips for the newbie is just do it. Just do it. We sometimes we make mistake. That's normal. So we learn from our own mistake, right? So of course the tips will be just be confident of what you're doing, and improve your communication skills. That's very important, right? So, and just do it. So there are no tips at all, nothing. So you just have to do it, and by doing it, then you will learn. Any more questions? I think your presentation is good. Please give us a sample how you can draw conclusion on which one is the person that, okay. Yeah, good one, but Nokia. So that's why when we come up with all the needs, so what we need to do is we can have stakeholder consultations. So when we have come up with all the findings, so what we need to do is we need to present this to the community themselves, and then we need to get their own feedback. So because we are not the one who make decisions, so it has to be together, right? So and then through that discussion, hopefully we can come up with solutions, which sometimes not easy, but at least we try. You know, even the discussion itself, it could be part of the solution. Yeah, contradictory, yes, of course, and something that we need to understand, that it won't be possible for us to solve everything. So we need to understand what are the priorities, what are the problems that we want to face for this particular project, for instance. And then we can then say, okay, so we won't be able to cover this issue. So it has to be really clear in terms of what priority needs that we need to discuss. In terms of contradictory to each other, yes, so that's why we need to discuss back to the stakeholder. Yeah, and that's why the first step that we need to do is stakeholder analysis. We need to discuss with them, and we need to have a chat with them. So we would like to do this need assessment, and then after we do the assessment, we can then discuss with them again what are the results, and we can have potentially some solution over there. Yeah, hopefully I'll cover everything. Pak Samsul, back to you.
The last for Pak Agung, maybe you can to identify in terms of the process. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Could you please share again the because in my monitor is too small, the font. Yeah, it's about more example from my research, how to understand equity in terms of identifying issues in urban planning process. First of all, I think in my experience, I understand equity first, okay? So that was what I presented in here today. So equity, after I define equity, which is then defining equity is philosophical, of course. But how from this philosophy we can do down to earth for our real problems? You know, my finding of defining equity, as in one of my slides previously presented by Dr. John A. Intelligence, I've found the same definition with two John Rawls's definitions. Equity is fairness in process and justice in distribution. But we use a different, totally different approach. Yeah, my philosophical thinking with John Rawls's philosophical thought, there are two different approaches to different schools of philosophy and to different methodological use, yeah, of philosophical methodology. But we have the same conclusion. So after I have this equity definition, then how to apply it to the real problem of development, urban and regional development. Then again, we have differences between me and John Rawls and other philosophers like Amartya Sen and especially these two. I use a comparison and of these two concepts. Amartya Sen with his human development and capability approach, yeah, while John Rawls with his book Theory of Justice. I think it's a kind of the holy book of justice. Yeah. So we have differences in, for example, defining what is fairness in process and what is justice in distribution. Yeah, it will be too long if I talk it here all about this. But in short, I have a set. I have developed a set of kind of in which with this set of methods, yeah, we can identify the equity that is felt by the people. Okay, the equity condition of an area or a unit, a spatial unit, felt by the inhabitants quantitatively, yeah. And for more or deeper aspects, then we need to investigate qualitatively. Anyway, I already have several research studies, and but unfortunately not recently because I had my health limitations since 2019, early 2019, yeah. But anyway, from all of my research results, I'm not satisfied. Okay, remember that can we share the slide again, Pak Samsul? Okay. Yeah. Remember the conclusion of my presentation. This one. So it is essential for us to keep being fair, just, equitable, and my proposition is actually here. Every deed we do, every action we do, has consequences that can negatively impact on the balance, either the balance of from the lowest level of our neighborhood, or our city, or our earth, or even our universe. It is our action that scientific cannot prove that this action have direct an impact. There are our deeds, our actions that science already have evidence that it is impacted on negatively to our Earth and our universe. I think the worst one is climate change, right? And climate change is caused by our actions, our development activities. But there are actions that science don't have, still doesn't have the answer because of this. Science will only be complete when we integrate all types of existences into our concerns, our investigation, our consideration. And then from this aspect, I'm not satisfied with my research and all of my research. Okay, so I think it is for the next generations to complete our science and knowledge. And I'm sure in the near future it will be complete. Okay, that's it, Pak Samsul.
Because we have read all the material presentation session and question and answer this presentation. We are now at the end of the hopefully we can get many benefits from what we have done earlier. The summary we can get from this meeting is that urban planning is about planning for it all. It's main putting the normative needs, comparative need, expressive need, felt need of people and community at the heart of the urban planning process, and considering the implication of the efficient of human health and well-being, urban planning and related profession can transport the condition in travel life and work, their access to facilities and services, their skill, and their ability to develop a strong social network. Equity inside our work, interdependence, can be viewed as distributed justice with focus on equitability allocation resource with the aim of reducing disparity in equity and improving outcome. Based on this understanding of equity, the promotion of equity, the allocation and distribution of development assistance will contribute to equitable and sustainable development. We would like to express our thanks to Mr. Febi Dwirahmadi and Mr. Agung Sugir, who are willing to provide us with material, learning experience, and knowledge regarding community need assessment. To close, what Mr. Febi or Agung Sugir need to please provide a assessment for the validation.
Okay. Apologies, I have to because I have to leave. I have to leave to go to city because I have meeting on city. That's why I'm using my mobile phone. So my closing statement is that, Pak Samsul?
Okay.
Yeah. So closing statement is basically community need assessment is a research process. So as you know, research has to be done systematically. And it is very important for us to also have a passions in it as well. Because research, if it is just, if we see research just because we are student or because we are lecturer, if there is no passions, we will be less motivated. So we need to have passion as well when we are doing our research. So then we have self motivations, and hopefully we can then create impact or big impact to our community. So hopefully I would like to see more collaborations between Undip and Griffith University, hopefully in the future. And hopefully together we can make impact for our community. Thank you, Pak Samsul, Bu Landung, Prof. Wiwi, Prof. Agung.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mas Febi.
Okay. It doesn't feel like we have finished our discussion today. I would like to thank all the participants who are willing to follow the discussion with the end. Today, the moderator, I apologize if there is any of my words that appropriate during the event. I will take and Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will respond with the
Waalaikumsalam.
host.
Thank you, Pak Febi dan Pak Agung, such an inspiring and fruitful discussion we have here today. And thank you, Pak Samsul, for moderating the main session. Before we close this event, we would like to say thank you for the support from the honorable guest lecturer today. We are gratefully appreciated your time to be here with us this morning. For documentation purposes, I invite all participants to open the camera. We will have photo session. I will give about 1 minute to prepare it.
So 1 minute to comb your hair, to fix your jilbab.
Okay, we will have photo session. I will take the screenshot from here. Okay, in 1, 2, 3, action. Okay, once again. 1, 2, 3, action. Okay, thank you for all the participants. And this event about to come to very end. I hope you found the presentation today are informative and helpful. And we hope that this event will bring an inspiration and the positive impact for all of us. For those who like to hear again this international lecture series, please kindly check our YouTube channel at PWK Undip TV Official. Please forgive us for our shortcoming. We look forward to seeing you in the next international lecture series. I hope you all have a good day. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima
Waalaikumsalam.
kasih.
Thank you very much,
Pamit.
Mas Febi. Drive safely.
Pamit,
Thank
Mbak
you.
Landung.
Terima
Ya.
kasih.